is Joy News Prime.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. My name is Araba Kumson, and coming up tonight, private legal practitioner AkuTompa expresses concern over the EC's ability to meet the constitutional December 7 date set for the 2016 elections through a letter written to the Commission seeking answers to 7 key questions. Supreme Court to rule on Monday the suit filed by the Electoral Commission asking the court to quash the decision by the High Court ordering the Commission to allow Dr. Papakwesi Indum correct mistakes on his nomination forms. Meanwhile, the All People's Congress flag bearer Hassan Ayariga becomes the second disqualified presidential aspirant to win his case against the EC. We will hear what the lawyers have to say about this. In business, revenue from crude exports expected to decline further as Tullow reduces production at Jubilee Field. And later on in the bulletin, Joy News' Derek Akosam tries on controversial gents wear that most people think it's too feminine to fly. Details of that and more, plus sports, entertainment, and Joy News Interactive. You can watch the bulletin on ABN channel across Europe, DSTV, and GoTV. Now, in our first story, the Supreme Court will on Monday rule on the suit filed by the Electoral Commission asking the court to quash the decision by the High Court ordering the Commission to allow the PPP's Dr. Papakwesi Indum correct mistakes on his nomination forms. An Accra High Court also gave a similar order Friday against the Commission in the case of All People's Congress presidential candidate Hassan Ayariga, as well as hearing 2 other presidential nominees who are still fighting for reinstatement. There's more in this report.
The first point of call for lawyers of the Electoral Commission was at the High Court, where the court presided over by Novisi Ayene heard oral arguments from lawyers for the PNC and the EC. Dr. Raymond Atuguba, who leads Dr. Edon Mohamed's legal team, asked the court to quash the EC's decision to disqualify the nominee, describing it as irrational. Lawyer Sori, who represents the EC, maintained that the EC did not err when it decided to disqualify Mr. Ayariga. The judge fixed Thursday, November 10 to rule on the matter. Lawyers of the commission then headed to another court presided over by Barbara Tetteh, who gave a ruling in favor of Hassan Ayariga. The judge ruled that the EC treated a disqualified nominee unfairly by not allowing him correct the mistake on his nomination form. This, she added, was contrary to the Public Election Regulations 2016. She ordered the EC to allow the nominee correct the mistake on his form. The APC flag bearer could simply not hide his excitement as supporters of his party cheered him on.
Let's give praise to God Almighty. For today, we must all believe in God. We have prayed and prayed that the court will give us justice. Ghanaians today have witnessed a very successful event today, which demonstrates to the whole world that our laws are working. No matter who you are, no matter your institutions, when you find faults with or anomalies in your issues, you can always go to the court for redress. I am very proud that democracy is really working in this country. I am very proud that rule of law of Ghana is working. All over the world should believe in the rule of law of Ghana. That it does not lie on me to give judgment, but it lies on the truth. And I must congratulate our lawyer, her ladyship, for giving a very wonderful judgment and very simple and perfect. So we are grateful. We will continue to campaign And we wish the rest of the people who are also going to court, we wish them well, and we hope they will also have a favorable judgment.
For the Progressive People's Party suit at the Supreme Court, presiding Judge Sophia Adenyira fixed Monday, November 7 as the day a 7-member panel will give a ruling on the matter. Lawyers for both parties were informed the court will rely on their written statements for judgment. The last stop for the EC lawyers was back at the High Court for the NDP suit. The lawyers moved a motion asking Justice Eric Chebafo to recuse himself from proceedings. Lawyer Sori argued that the judge had heard a matter involving Dr. Indum and ruled in his favor, exposing the judge's view on the substantive matter. This, he said, was likely to influence the judge's ruling in the NDP case, which he said was similar. Lawyer for the NDP, Peasant Farmers, opposed the motion, saying the judge had in the previous case ruled on a matter of law. Justice Eric Chebafo dismissed the motion, describing it as lacking merit and adequate grounds to establish the allegation of bias. Hearing will continue on Monday.
And Joseph Akable filed that report. Well, private legal practitioner Yao Pong has also been speaking on the matter. He spoke with my colleague, Jifa Bampo.
Oh, well, I think we are still winning as a people. We have consistent, at least in recent time, recognized and endorsed the fact that we have adopted the concept of rule of law. And that means that only the law rules us. So whenever there is a dispute between persons which border on law, I think that we have agreed that we have to go to an unbiased arbiter to determine the matter. And we all obey their decision. So I think it's the best way. We have recognized that the old strategy of applying combat and the strength of the strongest, we're condemning it. It doesn't matter what else we do. This is the best way to go.
All right. So now this is a similar ruling to that of the PPP. Looking at the situation, would you say then that the EC can't continue to stand its ground that, yes, these are issues that the Supreme Court needs to pronounce on and swiftly?
Well, from what I have seen in terms of the processes that have been filed at the Supreme Court, I'm careful to make any comment that may seem to be positive or adverse either way. But what I would say is that when the Supreme Court determines a matter on law, if the facts are the same or similar and cannot be distinguished, then a lower court will be bound by it. There's also the concept of judicial economy, which was even applied in the Woyomi case when there was a civil suit before the High Court, and yet the Ntamidu went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court applied the principle of judicial economy and said that their decision would then, in a way, then prevail over whatever case that was pending before the High Court.
So potentially, whatever decision the Supreme Court takes would cover whatever the ruling is. If it's the same ruling like the PPP, like the APC, it will cover all that. There will be no need for the EC to refile another appeal.
Well, I'm careful not to make that definite pronouncement. I mean, we'll have to abide the decision of the Supreme Court sometime Monday or whatever day next week. They will come out with their final decision. But if, as I said, if the Supreme Court gives a decision and the facts are the same or similar and the principle of law are the same or similar and a lower court cannot distinguish between it, then the lower court will be bound by it.
And let's still stay on the court issues because General Secretary of the All People's Congress, Razak Opoku, joins me in the studio. Good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime.
Good evening.
Now, you reactivated your campaign right after the ruling. What is going to change after today?
First of all, good evening to your cherished viewers and to our APC members across the length and breadth of the nation. What is going to change basically is that the party is going to resume our presidential campaign activities. because
I would need you to speak up a little bit louder because your supporters are watching and are itching to hear you. So
yes.
I can understand that you're tired after all the
Yes. As I indicated, what is going to change actually is that the party is going to resume the presidential campaign activities. As you are aware, we suspended the presidential campaign when we took the matter to court. And in our quest to respect the authority of the court, there's a need for us to put hold to our presidential campaign activities whilst we campaign for the parliamentary candidate that we successfully fought across the nation. So from tomorrow, we are going to continue with our come on board tour that we suspended. So tomorrow we are going to Medina, Adenta, and maybe we end up at Tema. Monday, we will get a judgment, give it to the EC, and also ask them, apart from the 2 subscribers that we substituted in writing it to them and they rejected it, and the court have affirmed that what we did was right because it was still within the period that they could have prompted us to correct those or substitute those subscribers. So we've already done that. But we still will find out from the GC whether there were any outstanding errors that we need to correct.
Earlier today, shortly after the ruling, when your flag bearer addressed the media, he told journalists that indeed the corrections had been made, the errors had been made. Yeah,
that's what I was saying, that the corrections...
And that the nomination forms, the corrected nomination forms are with the EC.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you going back to the EC to do?
No, we need to let them have a copy of the judgment. Okay, we wrote to them to substitute the 2 subscribers. And we tender in evidence in court. So what we also want to find out from the EC is that apart from those 2 subscribers, since the court has ordered them for us to correct any errors that they deem we should correct it. If there are any other errors that they think we should also correct it, we are ready to do those corrections so that Tuesday we resume our regional come on board tour, and hopefully Saturday we have the launch of the presidential campaign in Bogatanga, and whereby the campaign activity will be divided into various groups.
You're talking about next week Saturday,
yeah,
not
next week
tomorrow.
Saturday, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to Medina, Adenta to finish with the Greater Accra Come On Board tour. Monday we finish everything with the EC, and Tuesday we move to Eastern Region, Ashanti Region, BA, Upper West, then Tamale, then we finally end in Bogatanga, and Saturday launch our presidential campaign before you divide the various campaign for each region.
Let me ask, has the court processes, the proceedings, has it impacted negatively on your campaign?
Yes.
Because as you may be aware, even as you were battling it out in court, your competitors were, taking the lead and, going into the various regions to campaign.
It has not affected us that much in terms of building capacity on the ground because our party is well structured and organized on the ground. As we speak, we have about 20 polling executives, 20 executives in all the 29,000 polling stations. We have solid constituency executive, regional executives. Our parliamentary candidates are campaigning. We are also on the ground supporting them. So as far as we are concerned, the 1 month left, what we need to do is to triple our effort. Whatever that we were doing, we need to triple it to catch up with our main competitors.
What are you going to do to triple it? Because as you say, you need to catch up with your competitors.
Yes, we have only 2 competitors as far as this election is concerned. Only the NDC and the MPP. For Joy and for Green Street, they are irrelevant to us because we, APC, we are in the same level as far as this election is concerned with the NDC and the MPP in terms of structure and organization.
In terms of structure and organization.
Okay. We are in the same level with the NDC and the MPP. All of us are starting from a 0 point. And PNC, what do you call it? Is it CPP? CPP, Joy, they are not visible on the ground. Have you ever seen any poster of Joy?
No, you answer that question.
I'm asking you. So Joy is just doing media campaign. It's not on the ground. Green Street, CPBJ recently launched their manifesto whereby there's nothing to write home about. But our manifesto, as we speak, is better than the NDC. And MPP even copy our manifesto.
That's what you're
saying. Something that we are
MPP
going to challenge in court for plagiarism. Because for us, whatever Dr. Asanga highlighted, the same thing the MPP also highlighted during their manifesto launch. And if you critically look at the MPP manifesto, about 30 pages are just pictures. And
well, what are you doing? What are you going to do in terms of your campaign? Because you say you're campaigning, you see the NDC and the MPP as your main competitors.
Exactly.
They've covered a lot of ground. What are you going to do to catch up?
What we are going to do to catch up is we are going to do things differently.
Such as what?
Such as to market our political product, in this case Dr. Hassan Yariga, and make the electorates understand that he's better than John Mahama and is better than Nana Akufo-Addo.
Do you really think that the electorate would consider Hassan Yariga a more serious candidate than the incumbent, than President John Mahama or Nana Akufo-Addo?
Of course.
And why is that the case? Because people look at him and they perceive him to be a comic character.
You see, whoever, or those who are perceiving him to be in that regard are coming from his bitter rival political groups. And for us, let me suffice to say is that it would be politically incorrect for anybody to make that assertion. Because somebody who has formed a party less than 6 months and is competing fairly and squarely with the NDC and the MPP, and those who are also alleging that comic character aspect, that tag, they are the same people that copy his manifesto. They are the same people that plagiarize his ideas and claim it is for their own. So who is now a comic person?
Okay, so I mean, you've been with Mr. Hassan Yariga throughout the court proceedings, and earlier today, after the ruling, we heard him speak to journalists, and he said it was a victory for democracy. But being with him, how does he take this personally?
He's very, very, very excited than anybody in APC because when the disqualification came, it was a shock to us because considering the effort, the resource that he put in forming APC, and to the extent that you launch your manifesto on Thursday, Monday, EC announced that you have been disqualified, and all the allegations EC put out there that you couldn't fulfill, when they wrote to you, it wasn't the case. When the letter they gave it to us and we tendered in court, there was nothing like he couldn't fill his hometown address and all that. So clearly speaking, for now, the court has vindicated him, and we are very happy about that. That in the face of all the evidences, the court have proved the EC wrong, that they unreasonably disqualified Dr. Hassan Yariga, and that's we take our joy from the ruling of the court. We are very, very happy because the image and integrity of our leader has been restored by the court, and that's why we are very happy about that.
All right, thank you very much, and that is Razak Opoku. He's General Secretary of the All People's Congress. Congrats to your flag bearer once again.
And I hope you vote for my leader on the 7th December. Because it's better than Nana Akufo-Addo and John Mahama.
Well, I'll keep that to myself. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Practitioner AkuTompa has expressed concern over the EC's ability to meet the constitutional December 7 date set for the 2016 elections. In a letter addressed to the Commission and copied to Joy News, lawyer Ampao is seeking response to some 7 questions, including projections made by the EC on when the barrage of court cases will be cleared for the balloting of the presidential election and subsequently the printing of electoral materials. He spoke to Joy News' Ernest Menu.
First of all, let me say that under Article 63, 2A of our Constitution, December 7th is the last date that elections can be held to determine the president of the country for the next term. Now, if you look at all the lawsuits that the EC is currently engaged in over disqualified presidential aspirants, and you also look at the legal posture of the EC in these suits, it is not clear to me when these suits will come to an end. And it seems to me that that concern is a concern shared by many well-meaning Ghanaians. And therefore we could run into a major constitutional crisis. It seems to me that assurances are not sufficient, that she should be able to tell us the specific reasons why she's certain that we'll have elections by 7th December. So and especially from my experience of litigation, you can never be sure how long, litigation will go on, because you never know in advance the different matters that can come up in the process of litigation. So what I'm trying to do is for the EC to give us very specific answers that would allay our anxieties and fears.
Lawyer Ampao has meanwhile advised the Electoral Commission to ensure the litigations are not protracted by avoiding technicalities through the process. This, he believes, will help allay the anxiety of Ghanaians on the matter.
Therefore, it ought to act with wisdom and sound judgment such that it is ready for elections on the 7th of December. What do I mean by that? Just is it today, in the NDP, is it NDP, National Democratic Party?
Yeah, they were in court.
Nana Kunedus, I think.
Yeah, they were in court.
They had filed a process
Yeah.
for the EC decision to be quashed. What did the EC do? Instead of addressing the substantive matter, they brought an application, which was argued today, saying that the judge should recuse himself and so on. I'm saying that if the EC is concerned to deal with these things expeditiously, it should avoid technicalities. Because that application has been thrown out, but because that application was brought, it's been thrown out, another date has to be fixed for the substantive application to be heard. So I'm saying that the posture of the EC, its judgment, should tell us whether it is seriously working towards the resolution of these legal disputes before 7th December.
Someone who agrees with that is US-based law lecturer Professor Kweku Asari, who believes the Electoral Commission's losses at the law courts is gradually denting its credibility, and he's proposing that the Commission calls all the parties together to resolve these differences in the interest of the nation. He joins us on the phone lines now. Good evening to you, Prof.
Good evening, Araba. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks for asking. Now, you're on record as saying that the number of court actions against which the EC is faced with are all completely unnecessary and a waste of time, and that if we don't stop the EC boss now and she brings this attitude on the day of counting after the polls, it will bring a lot of troubles, if you like. First, what attitude do you speak of?
Well, the lawsuits that are ongoing are all unnecessary because they are all asking and addressing one legal question, whether the candidate, the disqualified candidate, have a right to fix any defects in their nomination package. That question has been answered by Justice Chair Balfour, in the case of PPP, the EC ex-parte group. And once that question was answered, that should have ended all the investigations at the High Court. What the candidates needed to do was to go to the Electoral Commission and say, by this ruling, we are coming to fix the defects in our package. And if the EC did not allow them, they could go back to a court, this time issuing what we call a writ of mandamus, compelling the EC to do what the court has asked her to do. So I'm really, surprised that we have all these lawsuits going on. The only lawsuit that makes any sense is the one at the Supreme Court now, and even that has been submitted the wrong way because the Electoral Commission went to the Supreme Court seeking to invoke its supervisory jurisdiction. And to tell you the truth, the Supreme Court is being just kind in allowing even that to proceed.
And Prof, when you say that the EC's attitude will bring a lot of problems. What exactly do you mean? Because the EC has said consistently that it is acting within the law.
Yeah, it thinks it's acting within the law, but I wrote about 4 weeks ago that it doesn't even understand its own regulation. PI 94, sub-regulation 9.4 is so clear that 3 things must happen within a nomination period. First, the candidate must submit their package. Second, the EC must vet the package. And third, the candidate must be given an opportunity to fix any defect in that package. So clear. I mean, it's not even law. It's just in English language. It says the returning officer shall inform a candidate that the candidate's nomination is invalid and shall give the candidate an opportunity to make amendments or any alteration necessary within the stipulated nomination period. So as a matter of English language, that's so clear. And it's confusing to me that the Electoral Commission doesn't seem to understand that. The other day, the chairman of the Electoral Commission was in England, and he said something that also frightened me. She said that when the election results appear close, she would order a nationwide recount. And if you look at I-94, that is completely unacceptable. It's nowhere in that the CI-94. The CI-94 says counting shall be done at the polling station, and only the candidate or the candidate agent can ask for a recall, and when they do ask for the recall, it occurs at the polling station once, and if they want a new count, that will be at the discretion of the presiding officer or the returning agent. And if the presiding officer refuses, it goes to the collation center where a recount will be done again. But that's it. There is nothing in the CI that will justify her statement that she can ask for a recall when the results are close. It is statements like that and actions like the ongoing investigation at the High Court that raise questions as to whether the chairman of the Electoral Commission and the commission, as currently constituted, understand their mandate, understand the regulations that guide them, and understand the limits of their power. They could do something during the counting which would trigger something that becomes uncontrollable. And somebody needs to sit down with the commission and explain their own regulations to them so that we are all on the same page as we approach December 7th. We are approaching December 7th with 32 or 33 days to go. We don't even know the slate of candidates who will be competing. And we are in court fighting an issue that has been resolved that should never have been an issue in the first place.
The EC chair has assured, Prof. Yes, the Electoral Commissioner, the Electoral Commission chairperson has assured that the elections will come off on December 7th because a lot of concerns have come up about whether indeed the polls will come off on the said date. She said that the courts are disposing of the cases expeditiously, so there's no cause for alarm. Don't you believe her?
I believe her because she has no option. Election will come on December 7th. I'm not worried about that. But I'm worried about the quality of the election because preparation is everything. If you do not prepare, you are going to have an election that has a lot of problems and a lot of issues. People should not be worried about whether the elections would come on or not. The elections would come on December 7th. But what you should be worried about is whether the EC is in a position to give us an incident-free election starting at 7 a.m. when the police stations open to 5 p.m. when they close, to the counting, to the collation, to the announcement of the results. Are they prepared to do what is required on that day? That is what concerns me more than whether or not the elections would come on, because by law, the elections should come on. I'm not concerned about that at all.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. And that is Professor Kweku Asare. He is a US-based law lecturer there. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with business news. You're welcome back. Now, revenue from crude exports is expected to decline further for the fourth quarter of this year as tallow cuts production on the Jubilee oil field. The following Business Desk report has more how this development could affect government's operations.
Being done on a component on the Jubilee FPSO used in the extraction of crude from the seabed. Tallow earlier this week announced that it is reducing the volume of gas it exports to the Atuabo gas processing plant for 3 weeks, starting November 1. Joy Business understands that the move would also result in crude from the Jubilee field reduced significantly, a development that could affect revenues gleaned from oil exports for the fourth quarter of this year, taxes from the resource, and royalty payments. Latest figures covering crude revenues for the third quarter showed a significant dip. The numbers reveal a $5 million reduction from a little over $24 million derived during the second quarter of 2016. The situation, if not addressed, could badly affect government's revenue. Already, end of July fiscal numbers reveal that revenues for the state has been affected. Tallow has also indicated that it would shut down the Jubilee FPSO again next year for 3 months. That's between February and July 2017.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is making the demand of policymakers as the country marks National Farmers' Day today. More in the Business Desk report.
Aides of the Plant Breeders Bill believe it would boost agri productivity in the country. Several civil society groups like Food Sovereignty Ghana have however kicked against it, arguing it would protect only the interest of scientists and corporations at the expense of smallholder farmers. The Programs Officer of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Nyaba, says this highlights the need for policymakers to take a second look at the law in the interest of the Ghanaian smallholder farmer.
We want them to come out with a law that considers the interests of the Ghanaian farmer. The current law, the Plant Breeders Bill, just like Uncle Ben said, is protecting the interests of corporations, foreign corporations. It's not, even if it's Ghanaian corporations, we don't have a problem. Foreign corporations like Monsanto, DuPont, who are based in US, South Africa, and producing seeds. So we want any law that they will come out with, it should be considering the interests of the Ghanaian seed producer and smallholder farmer.
The national coordinator of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Victoria Adongo, also explains they only want the bill revised to prioritize the interest of the smallholder farmers through consultation.
Let me emphasize once more that we are not against the whole bill. We are against the clauses that we think are inimical to smallholder farmers. So what we are saying here is that the government, parliament, and political parties should refrain from passing legislation which discriminates against farmers' seed rights as a choice of seed, access to and control and ownership of seeds, and also to ensure active involvement in legislative decision-making at all levels. Farmers' participation in legislative decision-making. They should therefore commit to withdrawing or reviewing the Plant Breeders Bill in its current form, and also commit not to enter into any agreement with direct or indirect negative effects on smallholder producers.
The Plant Breeders Bill is to, among other things, ensure a genetic diversity of food crops as part of attempts to guarantee food security in the country.
Access to loans in recent years has been a major challenge for SME expansion. SMEs now are being encouraged to adopt debt financing approach to grow their businesses. There's more in this report.
For startups and small and medium enterprises, an injection of capital sometimes means they have to give up equity in their business and divide up their profits. In these cases, debt financing might be a good alternative, but a few attempt this approach. Speaking to Love Business at the launch of the 2016 SME Ghana Awards in Kumasi, Chief Executive Officer of the National Medium-Term Private Sector Development Strategy, Joe Taki, noted that cultural challenges prevent many from this financing approach.
Most business owners or the entrepreneurs like to own 100% of their businesses because they find pride in saying that I have built a business all by myself, and I owned it all by myself. I mean, the simplest, the basics is also to say that myself and my wife, or myself and my children own this business, you see. But sometimes it gets to a point that you can own it 100%, but as I said, 100% of zero, it's zero. You see, so if you were to own even 60% of the business and 40% is owned by outsiders, they help you first of all they bring new ideas, they bring in the resources, they help you in decision making to make quality decisions, and every investor is anxious about their growth and looking forward to the dividends. So obviously this is the way to go.
The Kumasi launch of the annual SME Ghana Awards began with a workshop on business financing for more than 200 SMEs. Richard Noga, event director at Imagine Aid Company Limited, organizers of the awards, explained SMEs are unable to attract requisite investors due to inappropriate financial management.
If you look at the challenges SMEs have, it is not necessarily the fact that there are no financiers to give the money. The money is available. As I speak with you now, there are organizations that have money sitting down, but the criteria for you to actually be able to tap into that, they don't meet it. And so we would have such sessions to get them to know exactly what they need to put in place to get their businesses to attract such monies.
2015 winners of the awards were presented their plaque and certificates at the event at the launch of the awards.
You're welcome back. Now, Vice President Kwesi Bekwai Emisa Arthur says government would continue to partner the private sector to develop the agricultural sector in the country. He described agriculture as a principal private sector enterprise which helps to increase gross domestic product as well as creating jobs, and government would therefore continue to support the sector. Mr. Emisa Arthur said this at the 32nd Northern Regional Farmers' Day celebration at Wali on the theme, Agriculture, a Business Response to Economic Growth.
We all know that agriculture is the mainstay of our economy, is the way in which our economy grows from year to year. So the products of the agricultural sector create the increase in our gross domestic product and therefore makes it possible for us to survive as a nation. But agriculture also creates manufacturing jobs, and it is the value added which we are emphasizing this year. So the growth depends on agriculture, and the growth itself also helps in creating jobs, value added as an additional responsibility. The role of government is to support the private sector, because agriculture is principally a private sector enterprise. But the government needs to support the private sector to develop agriculture, because agriculture is a very risky business. When the times are good and the farm is very productive, then the prices fall and the farmers' incomes decline. When the produce is not good, the farmers' income decline. So in good years and bad years, agriculture, the farmers suffer. What the government has tried to do is to reduce the risk that is in agriculture in order for the farms to be productive and for the farmers' incomes to improve. When the farmers' incomes improve, poverty reduces and people live better lives.
And speaking of agriculture, farmers in Ashanti region are calling on government to pay more attention to mobilizing the youth for cash crop farming. They say this can be possible if government resources research institutions well enough to be able to produce improved and high-yielding varieties. A former Metropolitan Best Farmer for Kumasi says the relatively long gestation period for traditional crops like cocoa makes farming unattractive to the youth. Kwesi Deborah has more.
Johnny Aboatu, the 32nd Farmers' Day ceremony, government and partners must take a second look at the country's cash crop.
The new is a cocoa and a coffee dear. A cobisono, a barn could put the day. You bet me be a barn budget, a command, a cocoa. There was a cocoa in the coffee I can. Would be a baby bosom say, in fear say, and sana, when you music.
Metropolitan Director of Agriculture, Beatrice Asantemante, asked farmers to liaise with agriculture extension officers to improve production.
Agents in their communities with all the agricultural problems and also adopt the technologies which are imparted to them. This will help them improve on their productivity and meet the criteria for selection as future award winners. It's only agricultural extension agents that can recommend any farmer for award, be it national, regional, or district.
18 individuals, including an agric officer and 2 associations, were honored. The Best Farmer Award went to Adom Farms at Dumpoase, an integrated agricultural setup. Susan Ademensa is Chief Executive.
Na me nam se metime yire me ho ye no be ma no yare ye kura ne mre ye mu me ne nkura ne so mu ye adwuma no be du sa abenti ne wu echi no ye gusu a ye adwuma no ye mre ma ye.
Now, call it old-fashioned or impossible, but there's a new trend. It may not have caught on yet, but as expected. But the creator believes more people will soon buy into his vision. I'm talking about the latest shirts for men, which many have criticized as being too feminine. Derek Ekosam has more.
Thank you very much for your time today. Well, his pictures went viral and then he became very popular. Some say he's a celebrity of a sort. You remember that man who was shown on social media wearing what they say is a makaba? Yes, that dress that has the puffins and all of that. Yes, he's the man I'm talking to today. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you are fine.
Fine, thank you.
Who are you?
I'm a businessman and a marketing consultant for profession. Yeah.
And your name is?
And it's Patrick Okoto. Yes.
I can see you are in this. Has it come to stay?
Of course, it has come to stay because this is a design called Superfly. And we were sewing this in 1970s and we were taking it to discos, right? And it was a style that came where people were sewing it, but it has gone lost. So later I sat down and I said, okay, I want to design one of these old school dresses and see whether these dresses will come to fame. So I picked a paper and a pen. Then I designed the concept. You know, I did everything, did a drawing, the sketch and everything, and I called it Taylor. Then I said, oh, Taylor, this is what I want you to do for me. And I asked him, do you see women's kaba with a puff? And he said, oh yeah, he knows. But I'm going to design the puff, but it's a male shirt. People are saying that I'm going to take my wife's kaba, but it is not my wife's kaba. It is a style. And that's in 1917, during the old school time. You know, we were wearing to discos and things like that. You know, so I just gave him the sketch and everything. I said, go and sew and then bring me one and let me see. So he went to sew it and it was perfect. And that's first.
Okay. Please show it to the camera.
Yeah, that's first one.
Okay.
Understand? And I wear it to church. And when I wear to church, now it appears that people were even stopped listening to the preaching, and people were just everybody turning the back, looking at me. Everybody turned and looking at me. Everybody.
How did you feel at that time when you became the center of attraction instead of people listening to the sermon?
Yeah, I said, the thing is catching everybody. And so I'm happy. So Bami said it will come to stay, and then the men will be showing the dresses like this to funerals. Now we have a funeral one that's going to be black, and then you see some red flap and then you can see the red bands.
I want you to walk me through how you decided to wear and why you decided to wear this to church and why you decided to bring back the style.
Okay. I went to church. When I took it to church, I said, oh, let me create my own style and let's see what my style is going to do. Understand? Then I saw that the thing was catching people's eye.
Time for entertainment now. Miss G joins us. Miss G, hi, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
I still can't get my mind off the men's cover.
You know, I'm going to get one.
Are you?
Yes. Guess who I'm going to give it to?
No, who are you?
Elvis Squashy.
Elvis Squashy is our managing news editor. I don't think he will be in a hurry to wear it anytime soon.
Anyway,
they said it's called Superfly. It's a Superfly movement.
You know, so Elvis will be ready to wear it to look Superfly
on him.
Yeah. Anyway, let's start on a rather sad note. You know, producer George Forrest passed on the 31st of August this year. He was laid to rest last night or yesterday, and he actually asked for a piano-like casket when he died.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so he was laid to rest in a piano-like casket. That's what you see on the screen.
Was he a
now.
pianist?
No, he was a music producer. And they've said that every hit that came from Lumba and some other big musician, including a lot of gospel artists here in Ghana, came from him. And so he's done so well for the music industry. And they say that he also works on live instrumentals. He does live instrumentation. That's how come he had to go home in a piano-like casket. So may his soul continue to rest in peace. Yes. However,
yes,
you know, do you get bullied on social media, you know, by people who you might never even get to see?
No, I haven't had the
experience. Recently, somebody said I wear pajamas on set. I saw that I decided to ignore. You know, sometimes you have to ignore people.
There are lots of
cyberbullies, you know.
Cyberbullies,
yes. Okay, so we've been asking people how they react when they are bullied on social media, especially the stars, because they get to put things out there and the people get to, you know,
when we come back, I'll tell you something that someone posted on his page on Instagram, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I see. But before we take it, you didn't know that Papi Kojo was one time a cyberbully. Here's him.
How do you handle cyberbullies? Cyberbullies, how do you handle them?
I used to be one, so
really?
Yeah.
Who were you bullying?
Oh, a lot of musicians back then.
Give me one.
One time I saw Raquel. She was like, I remember you, because she used to make fun of me, and she showed me on her Twitter that she had blocked me. So I guess Raquel was one of them. I can't really remember, but she showed.
Using the same handle you use?
Yeah, Papi Kojo.
I see. So then a lot of people knew that it was you.
Yeah, I mean before I blew up, yeah, that's my name. Papi Kojo is my name.
Sometimes they enter my mentions, Instagram and all that, but I don't really mind. I don't reply them. That's the only way to get them, not reply them. Silence, it kills them.
And it doesn't get to you?
It doesn't get to me. Sometimes it gets, I mean, I'm human, but I don't let it. It tries to get to me, but I don't let it, so.
I just look the other way. At first, it really affected me. I used to cry and get extremely emotional. But right now, I just look the other way. I'm getting used to it. It's just, I've come to understand that what people say is their opinion, so I don't have to take it personally. So right now, I just look the other way. Some of them are just actually funny. When I think about it, I just laugh. So.
In Jesus Christ said we get haters. Oh, yeah, of course.
So how do you handle people like that?
I did Kabwame, don't forget. Yeah, before EL did Kabwame. So I'm the originator of Kabwame. No, I don't watch there because I don't want everybody to even love me. Because the more you hate me, the more I step up my game because I know I have haters. I have to prove I have to prove 100% to my haters that I can do it, and it's God given. There's no juju. Yeah.
It's time for sport, and we're going into the weekend. That means lots of matches. Doesn't that mean? Isn't that
yes,
the case?
That's the case. Are about lots of matches across the world.
All right.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Love the African print top.
Well, I was ogling at yours back then.
Oh,
like,
ogling, I.
Yeah, I was ogling. Like,
all right,
like,
give us the details. What's coming up in sports?
Who's your tailor? Who's your seamstress?
I'll tell you later, but tell us what's coming in sports.
Right, I will tell you, and thank you for joining us on the Sports on Pulse. I'm Gary L. Smith. We begin with Nilante van der Poy, the Youth and Sports Minister, who has revealed to Joy Sports that the sports bill, which was recently passed in Parliament, has captured the various facets of sports funding. Now, Ifua Santoa Ofosu of our desk has more on this.
The sports bill, which was passed into law last month, will help establish the National Sports Commission to provide for the development, promotion and management of amateur and professional sports, and also to enable the country operate its sports in conformity with international law practices. Nilante van der Poy tells Joy Sports he's yet to hear any member of the opposition criticizing the sports bill. The sports minister further adds the sports bill does not capture everything necessary for sports development in Ghana, but has captured the various funding regimes for sports development.
Let me commend the opposition members, the minority members in the committee. They contributed a lot to the discussions on the bill. So I will be surprised if anybody in the minority who is on the committee will criticize that aspect. But there's you see, if people want to say this is funding mechanism, the sports bill has captured various facets of funding regimes for sports development. He's talked about giving the National Sports Council the opportunity to raise funds through public-private partnership, through sponsorships and other sources. And it is not, the sports bill will not capture everything that we want to do. After the bill has been passed, the bill gives us the room to activate other mechanisms to do some of these things. For example, I can tell you on record that between the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Interior, the Attorney General's Department, we are drafting a mechanism and legislation that will ensure that all these sports betting companies contribute something to a sports fund.
The bill is currently awaiting President John Mahama's assentation to come into force.
It's been a lovely week. Thank you for staying with us throughout the week, and thanks for watching Joy News Prime. My name is Razak Opoku, and I've been here with Miss G and the rest of the team. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy us same time next week. Good night.
This is Joy News Prime.